ATF or ATK?
This is Ant goes AFK. But anyway, I'm here with.
I'm Abram. Life by Abe. The
Abe.
best YouTuber ever.
Sick, cool. And so, Abe, so where are you from?
I'm from the U.S. I grew up in Florida, moved to California as an adult, and then I ended up in Vietnam somehow. I don't know how I got here.
Yeah, so actually, I'm kind of curious, like, of all the places, you said you're from the States, you're from Florida, and of all of Southeast Asia, why did you decide to come to Vietnam of all places?
Well, I was in Japan, and let's back up. We'll go back. I was in San Diego. I was leaving. I knew I wanted to travel and live overseas for a while, but I never actually pulled the trigger. It took me about 10 years to finally say, let's go. And my goal was to go overseas for a year or two. And as I was talking to people getting ready for my Japan trip, people kept saying, how long are you going to be overseas for? And I'm like, 1 or 2 years doesn't sound exciting enough. It doesn't sound big enough. So I decided I'm going overseas for 10 years. My first country was Japan.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's go to Japan. It should be an easy stepping stone. I got there, didn't really appreciate Japan as much as other people do. And so I was not super happy. A friend of mine was talking to me who kind of also pushed me to getting out and chasing the goal of travel. And she was asking me questions. What did I not like about Japan? What were the struggles that I was having? And I explained it to her. And in the middle of it, she goes, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam is the exact opposite of it, and I think you'll love it. My contract was up in Japan after a year, and I had job offers in China and job offers in Taiwan at that point, but I wasn't super excited about it. And she told me, check out Ho Chi Minh City. And about 2 weeks before I left, I said, let's give Ho Chi Minh City a try. And I showed up here, didn't know anybody because she had left at that point. Landed, got a job, got an apartment, got everything sorted, and I've been here for 6 years. Dang.
So you said you got a job. Can you, I don't remember if you expanded on what that job was, but can you actually talk a little bit about the process of getting that job and what you do here and what other opportunities there might be for someone that wants to live out here and find other work that might align with them?
Okay. So I teach English. I actually teach English in person here. In Vietnam, the requirements that you need would be a bachelor's degree, 3 years of previous experience at this point, and then a TEFL, a teaching certificate. I actually got my teaching certificate while I was in Japan, and before I came when I came, there wasn't the requirement of 3 years, so I was okay. For other people to come to Vietnam, if you want to work here legally, you do need to have kind of a bachelor's degree, according to the government, for you to get the work permit. But I think if you can also show that you have a certain level of experience, then in the field that you want to go into, then companies can submit that information for you. Are they bringing in foreigners out for doing jobs here? Not really, because the labor force is fairly well educated, but they're also significantly cheaper to hire. Opportunities are here in tech. Vietnam is quickly becoming a big tech hub, and I've heard crypto. Vietnam's one of the number one countries in the world as far as crypto development and project development. So there are tons of incubators here. Those are some of the processes that I've seen, and the opportunities that I've seen.
So it seems like tech is kind of developing and more, not just tech, but startups and more of that advancements in, I guess, technology. I'm being kind of repetitive right now. But kind of to throw you a curveball here, working as an English teacher, is it all that it's cut out to be? Because there's a lot of people that who recommend if they want to go and work abroad or live abroad, that's the primary, everyone says become an English teacher, So is it as like as not exciting, but as like easy or as like rewarding or yeah, easy as it sounds as how people are proposing online, or is it like are there a lot of downsides or like things that you didn't foresee as working as an English teacher?
Well, I come from a family of educators. My father was a high school teacher. My mother ran daycares for many years. So I was kind of knew what education and doing that was. So I found it easy. But there are a lot of people who struggle with teaching. And if you want to be good, especially if you're planning on living overseas for quite a while or making a career out of it, you kind of want to have a good experience and you kind of want to build your repertoire and make it a career. So with that, there's a lot of material out there to help teachers to become better. But it also requires a certain type of personality. Not everyone can stand in front of a group of kids and try to teach them in a second language. That is difficult no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you can make the best out of it, and it depends on your mindset. If you're willing to learn, you're willing to grow, you're willing to be made fun of or be a little bit silly, then this can be something that can work. As far as being easy, most countries that I've seen just require a bachelor's degree, and then getting a TOEFL is not really that hard. It's just an extra course. It can be as little as a week, or it can take 3 months for you to get. It depends on you and the program that you're going through. The ones that are a week, a little bit questionable. Quite questionable, very questionable, but there are opportunities for you to grow within the education sectors here as well.
Yeah, not to kind of bag on like all English teachers, because there's definitely English teachers that care and like provide quality work, but I also know that because Asia is like a travel destination, there are a lot of questionable English teachers that are just doing it just to have like a permit or like stay here long term. So yeah.
Yeah, they're actually getting weeded out a little bit, and that's one of the reasons why Vietnam is upping the requirements for that. I see in the next few years they might even have you go through and do testing before they give you the work permits to come in. But there is a demand throughout the region, not just in Vietnam, but other areas as well, where they need English teachers, and they want like what they call native speakers to come in. And I'm not saying native speakers do it better or teach better, but it's just what people are looking for here.
Right. Speaking of like work and jobs and stuff like that, how do you find the quality of life and cost of living with like the work that you're getting, or like do you think that it's enough? How does it compare to like the States where you're from? Because I'm from California, so like cost of living for me is really expensive, right? And now that I'm out here, it's way cheaper. So I want to hear your thoughts on like the cost of living and if it's enough for you.
Okay. Well, coming from California as well, I was in San Diego. Going to Japan, it was also very expensive, but your salary was also quite small. Coming to Vietnam, your salary and your potential for making money is quite a bit higher, but your cost of living is a lot less. If you want it to be, you can expand, and you can find apartments for $10,000 a month if that's what you're looking for, but you can also find them for as little as like $300 a month. You get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. If you're getting a $300 apartment a month, don't expect much. If you're getting, something a little bit nicer than that, you can get something relatively decent here. That being said, there is a very big disparity between what I make versus what a Vietnamese person makes who's doing the same thing. So if you do come to Vietnam, that's something to keep in mind as well. What we're expecting from America and the salaries that we expect is not going to happen here as easily. And if it is, you're going to be replacing a Vietnamese person or like 6 or 10 Vietnamese people's salaries with what you're asking for. So having a little bit of awareness of that is something that's really big as well.
So, kind of to circle back on that, like how much, because everyone's gonna have a different answer for this, right? But like how much would you recommend, maybe for like a single person in their 20s to 30s, how much would they need to live comfortably to be able to maybe go out once a week and eat out on like a moderate basis and have like a decent apartment where it's not like falling apart or like completely terrible?
So I'll give you an example. When I first arrived, I was making about $1,200 a month, and I was living comfortably. I was actually able to save a little bit of money as well. I wasn't living in the lap of luxury, but I also wasn't living in a rundown apartment or anything like that. I had pretty nice digs. I had comfortability. I had a motorcycle, so I could get around from place to place, and I had a thriving and active social life. So with that, now after like 6 years later, I would say you can get away with 1,200. 1,500 would be a little bit more comfortable, but I've seen people here as low as like $600 a month. Was doing things and surviving and thriving and having a good time. It just depends on what each person wants in their life and what's important to them.
Right. I think the important thing to note here is for the $600 range, you said surviving. So I think, I completely agree. Like the $600 range, like you could definitely survive with that. Like it's hard to starve in Asia and Vietnam. There's so many conveniences. Food is relatively cheap everywhere. Housing is relatively cheap, but you won't be like enjoying the luxuries and having fun on the weekends and stuff like that.
You will be eating local. You're not going to be eating comfort food that you would be used to back home. You will be cooking a lot. Well, I don't even know if you'd be cooking, because even here, cooking can be more expensive than eating out, just depending on what you're cooking and what you're willing to eat.
Right.
If you're able to reduce your calorie intake, which obviously I haven't, you can get by with very little, maybe $4 or $5 a day.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm kind of overdoing it with like my Western diet and stuff like that, but definitely doable. I think you could eat like $10 is like a good range. Even you could get Michelin level like restaurants for
$40.
Yeah, $40 like max.
Yeah.
And that's like, and they're readily available as well.
On a side note, Ho Chi Minh City specifically has one of the largest international group of cuisines that I've had. I've had better Japanese food here than I did in Japan, and it was not super expensive. It was surprising. American food, it's healthier here. Don't look at me, I eat a lot, okay? But it's healthier here, and I feel like for what you're paying for, you can go a lot farther.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess on that note, like what are some things that you love about Vietnam? I know we kind of talked about like the affordability, the food, but maybe there's something else that you want to talk about, or we could keep talking about those things as well.
Actually, the food and the affordability, I actually think are byproducts. The thing that I enjoy the most about Vietnam is the mentality, like the entrepreneurship mentality, as well as in my head, the quote that's constantly going in my head is, if there's a will, there's a way. The creativity, the ingenuity of just getting things done here is like one of the things that I enjoy. I'm hoping that kind of gets into my blood and I can use that to propel myself too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because like everywhere I go, I see people hustling. I see like grandmas. There's people listening to our conversation right now, but like grandmas on the street selling things, like old people, like they're not just in retirement homes chilling, just waiting until like the end of days. And then I know that there's also a lot of people that like maybe are like unemployed or like even have disabilities, right? I see them on the streets. They're still trying to find ways to like make money and hustle and things like that. So it's something that I like really appreciate about the people here. Like they work really hard. Like they will find a way to make money and like survive, and they're still happy for the most part, or like they at least look happy, or at least try to make the most out of it. What is something that you don't like about Vietnam?
This is really tough to say, but it is, and it's tough for people here to hear. It's kind of the pollution levels, and up until recently, the traffic, the driving, was a little bit difficult. But recently, some laws were or some fines were readjusted and made it to where people now actually follow the driving rules a little bit more. For the most part. But then the pollution levels here, they're working on it. It is improving. It is getting better. But there's a lot of plastic pollution and as also air pollution here, and that can be a challenge in the city.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've noted in like a bunch of my other videos. Is like as soon as I landed, like there's smog. I developed like a cough, sore throat, and things like that. Do you think it's like seasonal, or do you think it's like just like a life thing? Like it's just a part of life in Vietnam that you have to get used to.
Well, it's not Vietnam. It's there are certain cities that are industrial hubs, and the country's working to make money for themselves. So the same thing happened in the countries all around the world. It's just where they're at in their cycle of progression. So it's in the major cities. If you go outside of the major cities, the pollution levels tend to fall. I do think that it is a life thing right now. There are definitely some parts of the year where it's a little bit easier. We just happen to be in one of the high seasons, as well as a very busy time of year for the country, with having the recent Lunar New Year and everything. So I'm hoping over the next few months it may dip down a little bit. During the rainy season, it's wonderful. If it has a high pollution level in the air, it rains, goes away, and you're able to have some fresh evenings.
Nice. Cool. I think we kind of went over like your story, the highs, the lows, or like the things that we like and dislike in Vietnam. So I guess the last thing that we could talk about now is like, for someone that's looking to make the move to Asia or Vietnam in particular, like what would you recommend, or what would be like the very first step, or maybe even something that you would do differently if you were to start all over again?
So I've actually, like yourself, I started a YouTube channel and I started talking about this. And I was asking myself that same question before, and I started asking other people. And there's a common theme that I found by everyone, and it's something that looking back, I did myself. And it's do your research. Everyone's a little bit different. Everyone values things differently. And so you need to, when you're doing your research, when you're looking at going to a place, make sure that the culture will align with something that you're interested in, that you're not going into a place that you're looking to change, but that maybe you're looking to help change you. You're looking to gain experiences and insights from. That's one. Two, don't come in looking for problems. You need to be flexible. And just like a manager going into a new position, don't come in and say, I'm changing everything. Come in with an open mind, see what works, and then see where there are areas where you can improve or do something else. I think that's going to be a big thing. As far as coming to Vietnam or going anywhere, really, it goes back to just researching, finding out the language that's spoken, the money that's used, finding out how am I going to be able to communicate with my friends and family back home. Check out banking. Banking is a big one, especially here. You're not always able to send the money that you make out of the country as easily. Visas, yeah. Also, that's definitely a big one to look at and research beforehand. Quick side story. I went to an airport. I was doing a visa run to switch from a tourist visa to a business visa. Met a guy who had no idea that Vietnam requires visas for people. Got fined $250 at the border, or they said they were going to deport him back to America, not even to Thailand where he was coming from. So these are some of the things that you've kind of got to keep in the back of your head. Research ahead of time. Also, the political system and what's happening in that country is another very important factor to look at. There are some countries that at the moment I wouldn't go to, and it's not because I'm not allowed to. It's just I wouldn't feel comfortable being there at that point. Crime is another one, and when you're traveling, just stay smart. Like, don't make dumb decisions. Don't pull out a whole bunch of cash. Don't get too drunk. Even living here, I've been here for 6 years. I feel very comfortable here. Never had anything bad happen to me, but I still I'll get drunk, but I'll still be aware of my surroundings. That's something to definitely keep in mind.
Right. Though Vietnam and Asia in general has been very, very safe. Like, I've never felt in danger, but that might be because like we're both guys. But even then, like, I've talked to a lot of girls and they're like they could walk alone compared to like, LA and stuff like that, depending on where you're from. So in general, it's still pretty safe out here. And I guess that's all like the practical applications. Do you have any like final last words or piece of wisdom or anything else that you want to share with anyone that's watching?
Once you do your research, do it. Just set the date. Actually, don't even do your research yet. Set the date a few months out and then do your research in before you do it. It took me 10 years to make my jump. I'd traveled before. I knew that I wanted to try and live overseas and do things, go outside of America, experience the rest of the world. It's been a life-changing experience. I would say set the date, do your research before the date happens, and then take that trip. You won't regret it. You'll have a great time. And even if you don't have a great time, you'll learn some valuable lessons.
That's true. That is 100% true. So you just got to do it, guys.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks for your time, man.
Of course, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Follow this guy. If you don't follow him, follow me. If you don't follow both of us, what are you doing with your life? Life by Abe and?
Ant goes AFK. Ant goes AFK.
All right. See you guys soon.